Hi guys, welcome back. It's Sports with Mono and Mono. Today's June 5th, 2021. Starting to get a little hot on the northeast coast.
I'm not complaining. Welcome back, everybody, to the show.
Yep.
Beautiful Saturday morning.
It is. Lots to talk about, I guess you would say.
You better believe it.
I just wanted to throw this out to James Walsh before, because I have to eat a little crow. So I'm hoping I could put a little Parmesan cheese on it. You know,
That's
crow
allowed.
Parmesan is always better than crow itself.
I think Walsh would be okay with that.
And we'll get to that in a minute. But thanks for joining us. It's great to be back, and we got a lot of stuff to cover. So first of all, our segment, our monologue is brought to us by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York, and we thank them. And I'm going to just jump right into it and give the mic to Steve for his 2 minutes uninterrupted commentary.
Thank you. Today is my monologue, and I don't think Jim is going to could even fathom where I'm going with this. But within the last couple weeks, I was surfing the computer and came across Lionel Messi. Okay? Now, obviously, we're Wayne Gretzky, Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan type of guys. But I got to tell you, I read this very extensive article about him, and I watched highlights of this guy probably for about 20 minutes. This guy is so unbelievable, I can't even tell you. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because, we like to learn, right? We're historians, and we love learning. But this guy is now, I think, 34 years old. Every year or so comes up where, he's going to leave Barcelona or Barca or whatever, and this is the only team that he's ever played for. He's from Argentina, Maradona, obviously, and then when the World Cup comes, Messi goes play with Argentina. So there's two guys, Ronaldo and Messi. Yep. To me, this guy Messi is... I really, words can't describe it, how impressed I was with this guy. He's a really good guy. He's revered. He's the Beatles in Barcelona. He's won a record 6 Ballon Awards, which is basically the MVP of soccer. The amount of goals this guy scores is off the charts. He has 474 goals in La Liga. 36 hat tricks, etc., multiple championships. But I saw a couple of these highlights of him that was just mind-blowing. It was Wayne Gretzky at age 21, 22 on the ice. And the reason I just wanted to bring this up is I think our audience, listen, go check this guy out, right? And I understand now kind of like the worldwide phenomena of soccer by watching this guy and learning about him. And I just wanted to acknowledge that in my monologue here, that Lionel Messi, to me, is just, he ranks up there with the all-time greatest athletes.
Good call. By the way, our friend Diego Cruz, our soccer aficionado, is listening to this. And I'm glad you brought it up, because you're right. When you put it into perspective from sports, it's the most watched sports, across the world. He is awesome, and I like him too. He's all 5'8" of them. And I may be generous, that may be with spikes on, right? But good call. I totally didn't see this coming. But while we're on soccer, how about we'll send a shout out to Chelsea, who won the Champions League, and that's kind of I don't know, for us in the U.S. It's kind of like the Super Bowl, whatever. And for the first time ever, and we've talked about him before, Christian Pulisic, he's the first American to play in a Champions League final.
Wow.
And he actually almost scored a goal, just hit it wide. It would have been awesome. But he's playing against those guys. But you're right. You picked the two guys that are the marquee guys. It's
Messi,
and Ronaldo, right?
And then from a pure economic standpoint...
And they're both getting up there, by the way.
Well, Messi, I think, is 34 now.
Yeah.
So he's got one more big contract coming.
Yep.
But let me finish on this point. When we talk about the NBA and how are they paying these guys...
And we're going to get to that, folks. So
this guy, Messi, what they pay this guy...
Oh.
I think it's worth every single dime of it, and it's an enormous. I mean, this kid has been getting contracts since he was like 14 or something. So I just wanted to shout out that Lionel Messi to me is on my radar, and I have a deep appreciation of him.
And to use him in the same term as Ruth and Gretzky and Jordan is
right.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So listen, Steve, we got a horse race today. The Belmont Stakes, third leg of the Triple Crown.
Let's back up. What was the most prominent news regarding horse racing this week?
Well, this all ties in. It's Bob Baffertless Belmont Stakes today.
Good.
I know. I just can't explain how this thing went down. I don't know what happened. He's so smart. He knows they're going to test him. Is it sabotage? Do I put the Oswald conspiracy theory out in horse racing?
No, it's pure ego.
But they're going to test you. But he's got no horses in this race today.
Well, he won't have any horses in Churchill Downs for 2 years.
Yep.
Listen, they did every extensive test on this. They've waited, obviously.
Yeah, there's something there. There's a smoking gun.
It's been over 3 weeks. Medina Spirit, again, I'm not blaming the horse. The horse, won the Kentucky Derby. However, he didn't win the Kentucky Derby.
No, he didn't.
And Bob Baffert, I don't want to hear any excuses.
I'm not
from
defending
this
him.
I don't want to hear it because
I'm just saying
you can if you'd like. But no, Bob Baffert to me has soiled his reputation to me beyond repair, and I even now question the past champions in his stable. Wow. And the reason I say that, it's just not this one test for Medina Spirit. There's been multiple horses under his tutelage that have failed tests for many years now.
I got it.
So,
But listen, the race is...
I'll leave it at that.
And the race is at Big Sandy today, right? Belmont Park, longest run. It's a marathon for these horses.
Yeah.
And it's a smaller field. It's only 8-9 horses, right? And I'm going to give you my picks right out of the gate.
Go right ahead.
And listen, I'm going with Hot Rod Charlie. And my other guy to throw in the mix is Known Agenda.
Okay.
I'm not a big Essential Quality fan. I know that's the pick that a lot of people are going with. But I like Hot Rod Charlie in 1.5 miles. Listen, a lot of people could say, hey, what about Rombauer? He came back in the Preakness and got it. I don't know if he could have sustained that for the extra yardage, I guess, in the Belmont Stakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a test of champions, and it gives you a great perspective of why winning the Triple Crown is so intense, right?
I'm going with Hot Rod Charlie, too. That was my pick for the Derby.
Oh. Give me another one. Throw another one in there.
No, I would say, I think Known Agenda wasn't that the favorite in the Kentucky Derby going in?
No, Essential Quality.
Essential Quality. I'm going to go with Essential Quality as my other pick. But I just want to backtrack real quick on the Belmont. I had a discussion, again, with loyal listener Jim Walsh. And he asked the question. He said, is the Belmont diminished now? And I said, well, I don't think it's diminished because it's the Belmont. Again, with COVID, this, that, and the other thing.
And we all want Medina Spirit to have run in the race.
We opened the show and said it's a beautiful Saturday here, in New York City area. People are going to flock to Belmont today. There's no Triple Crown, don't get me wrong. Yep. But, again, it's a day out. You're betting the races. It's Belmont. And no, I don't think the race itself is diminished. It's a fantastic venue.
The third leg of the Triple Crown is awesome. I can't tell you.
And you know what?
It's 1.5 miles track.
And I'm sure there'll be some aerial shots too, because the New York Islanders are actually that's going to be their new home. So I'm anxious to see what they've done. But from what I gather, this construction is just about done. I think it's only a few months out.
And they transformed that just like they did from Forest Hills with the United States Tennis Open.
It's going to be a great venue.
It is.
And I'm looking forward to it.
But it was kind of cool, and we're going to get into hockey in a minute, Mr. Walsh. I know his line he sent me an email. He said, I only root for 2 teams. The Rangers and whoever's playing the Islanders.
So he sided with me last week. Is that correct? Thank you.
I'm going to stand it. Listen, those 4 championships and the Islanders lore is, I'm into it, and I'm pulling for them. So we'll get into that. But listen, enjoy the Belmont Stakes today, right? Post time normally 6:45, smaller field. So we said this about the Preakness. It was wide open. This is wide open.
Yes,
Enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they're going to have, limited capacity, but the limited capacity at Belmont is like probably 15,000 people.
I would think it's more. I mean, they had 15,000 at a Knicks game. And I'll say there's probably going to be 50,000 people there.
There's not going to be 50.
25. I'll say that.
No more than 20.
Okay,
No
we'll
more
see.
than 20. There's still COVID
Well,
out
I
there.
think, isn't it, what, 10 or 20% of capacity? So what does Belmont hold, 150,000?
Not like Indianapolis Speedway
know.
holds like
Yeah, but
230,000.
I think Belmont holds 100,000 people, at least.
But listen, great race, and let's see what happens. But I'm going with Hot Rod Charlie and Known Agenda. Those are my two ponies. There's a tennis match going on, and one of our listeners, Mr. Garvey, is anxiously awaiting who we're going to address the French Open.
Of course we are.
And we certainly are, because there's been a lot of developments, especially on the women's side. Naomi Osaka is out. We get that. But the first top 3 seeds, they're also out. So you know what this means? Serena walks to the French Open crown.
Well, no question.
Right?
No question.
Yep.
She can play blindfolded and
Yeah, she's
she'll
going to win this.
Yeah, there's no question. And you can't fault her.
Of course not.
The other players are out.
Absolutely.
She has no control over that. But yeah,
This could be her swan song.
Well, you can bank she's going to walk away with the French Open title.
Agreed. How about the men's side? Still wide open, right? We finally got our familiar faces, the big 3, right?
Yeah.
Federer and Djokovic and Nadal, right?
I'll go with Nadal. What has he got? 77 French Open titles?
Yeah, that's a reach, huh?
And it's not a reach
Of
because
course not.
I know I'm going Nadal. Why wouldn't I go Nadal?
But don't you have to keep in the back of your mind the Federer,
No.
this is his swan song?
No.
He's got nothing left? Is that what
We
you're telling me?
love Roger Federer.
We do. We
Okay?
do. We
No,
do.
he's not going to beat Djokovic and he's not going to beat Nadal, and I think Nadal will probably win a thriller.
I'm keeping the door open a crack that this could be his swan song. I mean, Wimbledon's going to be his swan song. 'Cause
Nadal-
he's running out of gas.
Nadal owns the French Open.
He
I mean,
does.
let's be real.
I got you.
Right? Mr. Garvey, we look forward to your commentary on this. But, I wish I could say there's a 5th seed, a 6th seed, somebody an up-and-comer coming that they can win this. No, Nadal owns this tournament.
But
He just does.
Federer, beats Marin Cilic, who's one of his arch rivals, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Played him early in the tournament, which was unusual.
Right.
So
And Roger's recovering from his knee injury, but let's not forget Roger is what, 39, bordering 40?
No.
38.
No.
Yes, he is.
I don't think he hit 37.
No, he's not even 30. Is that what you're going to say?
I said he didn't hit 37.
I think
yet.
he's 38.
He may hit it during the tournament.
All right.
But anyway,
you know how we don't look things up on this show.
We
but
don't.
I'm looking this one up.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
So while we're doing that, we'll move into the NBA playoffs. And I know Mr. Wall sitting out there. I made a professed statement several times. It was going to be the Lakers and the Nets in the finals. It looks
did.
like I got 50% of that right. But I want to tell you this. I didn't expect Anthony Davis not to be able to play. But I also didn't expect LeBron James to show that he's 36 years old. He's got 18 years in this foxhole. And it just didn't happen. So it's wide open, and I'm going to go, like I said, who's left? Is it the Phoenix Suns, right? But there's something else I want to talk about in a minute. But I'm going with the Jazz or the Nuggets so far. I just don't see.
With the Nuggets.
This guy Jokic is tough. He's tough.
You mean my MVP guy I've been touting?
I know. But it's the Clippers-Mavericks series that's unprecedented. It's the first time in any NBA series that the home team has lost to the road team.
And for the record, when Roger Federer was born
Oh, my God. Is he going to be 38?
on August 8th, 1981.
That makes him
Going to the
divide the three.
so
carry
carry
the
it
two.
over.
Half, decimal.
I think he's going to be 40 years old in a matter of 2 months.
I sit corrected. I don't think he's going to beat Nadal in this, I guess. Let me
Thank you.
backtrack. But anyway, the NBA playoffs, right? The Clippers and it's so funny, Steve, because after the Clippers lost the first 2 games, all I heard these so-called sports experts just saying, I've never seen a team lay down. I've never seen a more lethargic effort, and now they're going to Game 7. And I said, what about Kawhi Leonard? I mean, we're big supporters of him, right?
Oh, yeah.
But there's been great playoff basketball. And I listen, just Jim Walsh, if I could put Parmesan cheese on my crow, I'll do it because it'll taste better. And I thank you for your observation, always astute.
Listen.
What's the other story?
I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking here about the Lakers, but I just didn't feel that they were going to win the title this year. Just because
I thought with those 2 guys they could, but if one of them's out, they couldn't, and I missed it.
The Phoenix Suns to me and the Jazz are probably to me the 2 favorites to go to the NBA Finals, and again,
I'm going to tell you right now.
If the Nets are healthy, I can't see them not winning it this year. I just can't.
The Nets.
I think
So
the Nets are going to win, which is not a reach. But,
not a reach.
In the West.
It's going to happen.
I'm finding I'm more interested in the West basketball with the Chris Paul story, this, that, and the other thing. Somehow I can see the Suns getting to the final and Chris Paul falling short again.
No, he's falling short before the next round,
Right,
actually.
But I told you, the Utah Jazz were really good. And this Joker guy on the Nuggets, to me, he's the MVP. But I think Curry will probably get it out of sentiment.
No, Jokic is getting it.
He deserves it.
But here's one
In my
thing about
opinion.
the NBA in this playoffs, right? So Portland gets knocked out for the 4th time in the past 5 years in the first round.
Because they don't have Dr. Jack as the coach.
Listen, we could go back and dig up the bodies, but you're right, But they got this Damon Lillard, and he's an unbelievable basketball player. He shoots lights out, and now all of a sudden, the chatter is, that the Knicks are going to get him. And I'm going, wait a minute.
They're not getting.
He's got 4 years left on his contract,
not going anywhere.
and he makes $45 million a year.
He's not going anywhere.
No, but it's something that's coming up in discussion. Like all of a sudden, he's a free agent.
Right. Well,
like he's going to pull the James Harden,
No.
the Aaron Rodgers, whatever.
No, he's not
He's
going
a great
anywhere.
no. But they're going to give him the keys to the kingdom, so to speak.
No, they're not.
He's going to get to name the next coach.
He's not going
Do you
anywhere.
know who he wants to be the next coach of the Portland Trailblazers? And if you think it's not going to happen, you're mistaken. Jason Kidd will be the next head coach of the Portland Trailblazers.
If Jason Kidd is the next head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, I will not be watching another Portland Trailblazers game. That's what I think of Jason Kidd.
Hey, the guy made a couple finals.
So let's segue to the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks. Is it a surprise that Atlanta, kind of just skated through this?
Not to
Is
me.
it a surprise?
Not to me.
Not to me either. Is it a surprise that Julius Randle came back to earth and I'm not knocking him. Listen, Julius
He had
Randle,
a great year. We gave kudos to
listen,
him.
he had a phenomenal year. But I think with the management that the Knicks have, they will not be giving this guy a max contract because I am telling you, if you give him Julius Randle a max contract, you are going to be stuck with this. It'll be such an
that's the history of the Knicks, though.
The Amari Stoudemire contract would look like
he's not
peanuts.
anywhere near a max contract.
I'm telling you.
The Knicks got to pay him $20 million next year.
I understand. But I don't want to hear this talk from Knicks fans. Oh, we got to sign Julius. No, you don't. 1 year. That's it.
He had his moment.
He
in the
had
sun.
a great year. However, he fell back to earth.
I got you.
Okay, so let's not
I got you.
get on the Julius Randle Hall.
But
of
anyway,
Fame.
this Trey Young really impressed, didn't he?
Yeah.
I've really impressed.
Listen, this kid at Oklahoma.
We've been watching him in college.
I've watched him at Oklahoma. The kid is really good, and hey.
And he likes the limelight.
And he pulled the Reggie Miller type of thing of dealing with the crowd and really rubbing it in. And I can't blame him.
That was a
I'd
great
rub
line.
I'd rub it into Spike Lee anytime I
don't know if somebody wrote it for him, but his press conference line was, "This is New York. They do a lot of shows, and that's what you do when the show closes." That was a great line.
It was an outstanding line.
Somebody wrote that. Good marketing.
Yeah.
But he was awesome, and they're moving on. But listen,
The Knicks had a good year. That's it. So
Nets
they
in
have
the
a ton.
East.
They have a ton of money. So it's a good thing the Knicks are trending up.
Nets in the East, and flip the coin
But-
between Utah
But
and Denver.
back to the Nets. To me, it's so unlikable. I can't. I don't. I'm not rooting for them, but I think it's a foregone conclusion because of the big three. That we talked about Kevin Durant. If he gets hurt, it's over.
Exactly.
Right?
If one of the other two get hurt, they could still win it.
To me, this is such an unlikable team, and I am rooting for the West, actually. I am. I don't care who comes out of the West. That's who I'm rooting for.
And I'm going to say this before we move on from the NBA. If people don't notice this, I don't know how that's possible. Kevin Durant looks exactly like Jamie Foxx. Identical. I don't even get what it's never been
Jimmy
mentioned.
Butler looks exactly like Jamie Foxx. I've said this time and time and time again.
Yeah, I'm just
Mr.
saying.
Garvey, down in Naples, I want your
He
opinion.
appreciated us not ripping on his Heat, who he thought was going to win the NBA title.
Okay, well, your Heat, Jimmy Butler, Jamie Foxx.
Doesn't
Mr.
look
Garvey.
anything like it. But Kevin Durant and Jamie Foxx look exactly alike.
Well, let's finish on the NBA with this.
Real quick.
Danny Ainge steps down as the boss of the Boston
President
Celtics.
of basketball operations.
And Brad Stevens leaves the bench and moves up. And
What do you think of that?
I don't know. I'm looking forward to see who Brad Stevens.
What do your Boston
chooses.
Fan friends think?
I think it's time. I think Danny Ainge had enough. I mean, Danny Ainge's resume is quite good. Okay, let's be real.
Been there a long time.
Listen, he
now,
has.
you know.
Listen, probably time with his family. I'm a huge Danny Ainge fan. I remember him in that college tournament game against Notre Dame when he went up the whole court and won the game.
Yep.
And that was
Coast to coast, as
that
they
was the
say.
first time you heard really about him. I remember him batting for the Toronto Blue Jays.
I remember that.
And then before you know it, he's number 44 in the Boston Celtics winning
BYU
championship.
guy?
BYU.
Yep.
So Danny Ainge,
But a lot of people, and I'm wondering if this is the prevailing feeling for Boston fans, is Brad Stevens moves into that spot. Who's going to be the next head coach of the Boston Celtics?
that was my question. I said I'm curious to see who Brad Stevens selects. So it's obviously somebody he's close to and knows and trusts. And,
Maybe this ties into Coach K retiring. Maybe he takes. I'm kidding.
I know you're kidding. I'm so glad Coach K is retiring.
Oh, come on. I'm a huge.
Love Coach K. Don't get
time.
me wrong. It's
Big
time he retires. So John Shire gets the gig at Duke, which is good. It's kind of like Hubert Davis getting the gig at North Carolina. So you get some fresh
Yep.
blood on the sidelines
Yep.
for the rivalry.
So anyway, let's move on, Steve. That's our NBA coverage, but how about the NHL? And we talked about it. Playoff hockey is awesome.
Yeah.
And you got a great series, the Boston Bruins and the New York Islanders. But you got your team in the West. They took it on the chin last night, but they're still up 2-1 over Vegas.
Yeah.
It's good to see hockey, though, isn't it? It's
Oh,
awesome.
I love it.
And how about that hit, though, in the Canadians and the Winnipeg Jets? I don't think he intentionally tried to do it. It was a split second, but it was vicious. And I did see the Tavares hit, which I hadn't seen. Oh, my God. I mean, that was almost shocking. For him to even get on the stretcher was amazing.
It was such a car accident.
Oh, my God. But it's awesome to see. Hockey is heating up, man.
No question. I mean, this Islander Bruins series, you can see the intensity in the series. The Islanders got to win. They have to win this next game.
Yep.
Because if they don't, Boston is pretty damn good.
But I actually ruled out the Islanders after in the Pittsburgh series, and I regret that as well.
And everybody who knows me knows I can't stand Todd Marchand. He's one.
But he's good.
I hate him beyond words.
But he's good.
But I cannot dispute that this guy is a talented hockey player, and he scores big goals. And he's the type of guy you want on your team. He's Ulf Samuelsson back in the day when we hated Ulf Samuelsson. And
when he played for Pittsburgh.
And once you don a Ranger uniform, all is forgiven.
Yep.
But Boston is formidable. I won't be surprised if the Bruins make the finals. I'm sticking with the Colorado Avalanche. Vegas is a very good team, so
that'd be a good
I think
final.
it's good for Colorado to actually maybe go a 6-game.
Colorado Bruins, that would be a first time.
That'd be great.
That would be awesome.
That'd be a great series.
No doubt. Looking forward to that, and it's great. And they suspended him, which was probably the right thing to do, but I swear to God, I think if he could take it back, he'd say, I didn't know we put it in the net already. That's what you do. But the Winnipeg Jets, how obscure would that be?
I didn't do anything.
No, you did. And it's on TV and YouTube.
Of course.
So, anyway, so let's move on. Our final segments is brought to us by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. And rumor has it that there's going to be some activity up in Narragansett on a boat, with the old Niagara boys. That's one of our sponsors. That's what he does, and he's planning the schedule now.
Well, let me say something real quick. I forgot to mention this last week, and it's Niagara related. We're watching the game. I was watching an NBA game, playoff game with my buddy, and guess who's announcing? It's Hubie Brown.
Yep.
And this guy knows basketball, but not to the level that we know sports. And he just asked a question. He said, "So what's Hubie Brown, like 78?" I said, "That's a good guess. It's a fair guess."
I'm going to say 85.
87. And he still has all his faculties. And we talked about Hubie. Hubie Brown to us is one of my favorite sports people.
And I told you I had a one-on-one
Love
with
him
him for 20 minutes at a bar. It was like your Messier moment.
Yep. I love him.
Me too.
Hubie Brown, 87, going strong. I think it's great.
And by the way, he was kind of the guy that jump-started the Memphis Grizzlies. Remember, he actually took it out.
He might have been the first coach of the Mets.
No, he jumped in, but he kind of brought him back to prominence. It was pretty cool. Big Hubie Brown fan. Listen, let's move on to Major League Baseball real quick, Steve. And again, we've talked about this week after week. There's always a new card, a trading card that breaks the record. The new record, a Babe Ruth minor league baseball card sold for $6 million. How about that? That blows Honest Wagner and the Gretzky cards and the Jordan cards out of the water. How about that?
Anything Babe Ruth, I'm okay with.
This is how old the baseball card is. He was listed as a pitcher.
Yes, he was.
And he went. That was the 1914 season. $6 million.
Okay.
How about that?
A lot of people forget he was a very good, if not great pitcher.
Good. He holds probably, I'm going to say, at least 10 World Series pitching records.
But that's how unbelievable the Babe is.
Yep.
Really. And when I think of the Babe, of course, I think of John Goodman playing the Babe.
Oh. I'm more into
that. May be the only blemish.
I'm more into the William Bendix playing.
Of course.
John Goodman playing Babe Ruth.
How ridiculous is that?
Yep.
That's the only blemish. And nothing, the Babe had no control over this. He was long gone.
You know what? But just what happened in the past week was the Major League Baseball. It was Lou Gehrig today. And when we see that, that's my guy. That's I've read the book.
He's my guy.
But there's a book, and I mentioned it before. Read it. It's called Luckiest Man.
Henry Lewis.
Oh my God! I mean, but it's finally bringing attention to the ALS issue and so forth. And this guy was a warrior. And there was a picture I saw. They did some sort of piece on him on SportsCenter. Him in his Tarzan outfit, which, by the way, he did not get the role because his thighs were too big.
Yeah,
but there's a classic picture, and you could tell he didn't want to be standing there in a leopard skin.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
But when you're swinging between trees, if you have big thighs, I mean, it's razor thin between these trees.
You know what? And Steve and I have talked about this time and time again. When you're talking about Hall of Famers, that's one of the guys I always say, oh, he's going to the Hall of Fame? The same Hall of Fame that Louis Gehrig is in it?
Sure.
Forget it.
And as a person too, Lou Gehrig was his
awesome.
character was beyond reproach.
Yep.
He's one of the Monahan's all-time favorite athletes, people.
And our mother actually met him when she was a little girl.
Well, our mother grew up actually only
Riverdale, New York,
several houses down from Henry Louis Gehrig.
Yeah. And he was as kind and gracious as you would think.
You better believe it.
But the numbers he put up, I mean, you want to go into the Hall of Fame, look up the records of Babe Ruth and Henry Louis Gehrig and Ted Williams. Those are Hall of Famers.
No, cool.
That's why we're very stringent.
Willie Mays, Hank Aaron.
Absolutely.
Stam usual.
We've covered it. But not, Craig Biggio. I mean, that's the same Hall of Fame.
And football, Dan Hampton, of course.
Warren Sapp. Do we need to go on? But listen, before we move off of football, I wanted to touch base because the NCAA Hall of Fame nominations came up, and there were 3 first-time guys. Reggie Bush, Andrew Luck, and Marshawn Lynch. Now, again, this is not the Naismith Hall of Fame. This is not the Football Hall of Fame. This is the College Football Hall of Fame. All 3 of them, first vote, they get in. What do you think? Reggie Bush?
No.
Andrew Luck?
Yes.
Marshawn Lynch? Had a pretty good college career,
yes.
Cal.
Reggie Bush is not, in my opinion, is not eligible to play or to be in the Hall of Fame.
But here's a couple of things, and I saw it. I'm going, wait a minute. There's a few guys that are still on the list that haven't gotten in on first. These are first ballot guys, by the way.
I'm not. Listen, I just want to. I would just want to clarify. Reggie Bush obviously is a first ballot talent college football player, but my standard is no. You're not getting him.
But I wanted to bring this
up. They took his Heisman Trophy away, and you're going to put him in the College Hall of Fame?
He was banned from the campus for 10 years. But there's a couple other guys, and I said, wait a minute. Why are we talking about these guys? What about Marvin Harrison? His college career at Syracuse was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Ken Dorsey, he was unbelievable at Miami, right?
Yeah, national champion.
How about this one? You're going to go, wait a minute, this guy was a bust in the NFL. We're talking about college. Tim Couch had an unbelievable senior year. That means he was first team. The criteria is you had to be first team All-American.
Tim Couch, no. He had one good year.
But he was first team.
I understand
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
But no. I mean, I don't have a problem if he eventually gets in, but...
But I just wanted to bring that up and say, Reggie Bush, no.
You?
Andrew Luck.
You agree with Reggie Bush?
I do. Andrew Luck, yes, I do. And Marshawn Lynch, I watched his whole senior year or junior year. He was awesome.
He was.
Cal.
I don't dispute that.
So, anyway. And listen, before we sign off or move to our next segment, I wanted to bring this up. And we talked about it a little bit before, but how about Coach K? Look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Only John Wooden has more NCAAs. He's got an Olympic resume that's unparalleled. And he's Coach K.
Yeah.
But you're right. Can Shire take over this legacy? We remember there was an ESPN special on Dean Smith, Coach K. He wasn't beloved when he first came out of the gate, kind of thing. People were going, wait a minute. But here was an interesting fact that I didn't realize. He actually played for General Robert Montgomery Knight while he was the coach at Army.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I didn't know he played for him.
Oh,
I knew he was on his staff. I didn't know that.
No, absolutely.
And then he ultimately took over for Bobby Knight at Army, and it was just a great story.
Right. So I always love that connection with Bobby Knight because we're Robert Montgomery Knight people here, regardless of his behavior. But we're talking coaching, X's and O's, and et cetera. The one thing I'll say about Coach K, which endears me to him, is when he took over Duke, he was not intimidated. He was still young.
Very young. And
he's going up against Dean Smith, right? And if you watch that Dean Smith HBO documentary, Coach K did not back down from him. And in fact, I actually had more respect about Mike Krzyzewski, the way that he
handled himself while worshiping the very guy he was coaching
but
against.
He was not intimidated, and he wouldn't back down. And I also remember that I think it was '86, the Duke Louisville, never nervous Purvis Ellison, the Duke, and they won it. I think Bellis was on that team. Jay Billis, who was, the basketball,
I saw a very.
I'm a Billis guy.
Me too. I saw a very moving, credit to Coach K from Jay Billis. It was awesome.
But that national championship, and he has 5 of them. I mean, so what can you say about Mike Krzyzewski? I revere him. I think he did everything right. There's a couple hiccups that are out of his control. Sure. But listen, I mean, this is one of the greatest.
And to be number 2 behind John Wooden in championships is saying something. So.
Right. Nobody's ever approaching John Wooden. Ever.
So anyway, good luck, Coach K. His farewell tour is about to begin, right?
You know what? And that's a good thing.
Sure.
We kind of mock the rocking chairs and all that.
We lost a lot
but
of
like
guys.
when Dr. J was, but there's certain guys that deserve that.
They deserve it.
And this is a no-brainer.
No
that
question.
Mike Krzyzewski deserves all the accolades.
It's like
for
Jeter.
Jeter.
Jeter thing.
That's another one. So Mike Krzyzewski deserves all the accolades. It's going to get sickening after a while, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
Be tiresome, but he deserves every.
We have watched Coach
everything.
Krzyzewski coach how many games? 500, right? I mean, we watched maybe more, obviously.
I would say 80% of his games.
But anyway, there's one thing I wanted to bring up, and you know what? I could have saved this for the monologue for next week. But this thing about the NFL that came out, this race norming thing, it is, to me, listen, I used to like Roger Goodell, but I've seen what he did, and he took over for Tagliabue and tried to bury the concussion thing, and Steve and I have talked extensively about this. But this race norming thing is unbelievable, and it should cost Roger Goodell his running of the National Football League. It's look what year we're in, and this was going on. And I saw a piece on Ncaa Davenport, who was a former NFL player.
Yeah, Miami Hurricane.
And listen, he's a mess.
Green Bay Packer.
He's a mess.
Okay.
But he got denied because he didn't. They said this cognitive skill level was different. I mean, listen, this is not a political show. It's nothing, but that is unbelievable. I thought the burying of the concussion thing from the NFL and Goodell was shocking. This, to me, is shocking. And to deny these guys benefits, listen, there's a pool out there of billions of dollars. They should all get their piece. And I can't believe it was in the 1990s they came up with this cognitive skill level that was just shocking to me.
Well, Goodell wasn't a commissioner in the 90s. It was Paul Tagliabue.
But he was well aware that this policy was in place. That's all.
And the only thing you have to do is watch that movie Concussion.
And we read the book, which is shocking unto itself.
That movie was so tough to get through, especially the opening scene with Mike Webster. And you know who played Mike Webster in Concussion? It was David Morse from St. Elsewhere. He's been in a million.
I never saw it, but
you know who David Morse is. You see his face, but
change the rule. This is silly. These are NFL players.
This has been silly for decades.
No, but this was set up in the 90s, which seems like yesterday compared to historical data.
I just said decades.
Anyway, so I just wanted to bring that up. Roger Goodell, stop burying this. He makes $30 million a year, and that's an unbelievable thing that came out.
He makes about 36, 38, depending on the revenue of that particular year. So he may have taken a little hit with the COVID and made only 32.
That's just my half monologue, but I couldn't wait till next week. I thought it was shocking.
And I'm 100% with you on that. It's sickening, actually.
Well, listen, unfortunately, this part of our show, we mentioned notable passings, and there's somebody I wanted to bring up, and that's Kathleen, Patricia, Larkin, Coughlin, who was so close to the Monahan family and, married to a former state trooper. And, Bill is considered the 8th or 9th Monahan, whoever does the math, determined. She was such a sweet person. And she passed away this weekend, and we wanted to give a shout out to
absolutely.
Pat Coughlin. She always treated the Monahans like we were good.
Yeah.
And we weren't so good all the time, but
Right.
what a wonderful person.
Yeah, and I want to extend. We're going to send Bill the show actually, so he knows that we
Yep.
remembered her, and just want to reach out to Bill and say, his parents, like you mentioned, Peter Coughlin, his father is a retired state trooper,
As sweet as they come.
and passed away many years ago.
Sweet as they come.
You can't say enough words about good people like that passing, and
So Bill,
Bill, our hearts, our condolences, thoughts and prayers are with you, and
Yep.
we love you.
and listen, there was also very close to the Monahan family. Our sister's husband, Richard Mullican, passed away unexpectedly, and of course we would be remiss if we didn't bring this up. And Richard's part of the Monahan family, and my sister now has to take charge again, but
That's what she does.
it was a surprise to everybody, and but we wanted to give a shout out to Richard.
Right, so-
Listen, here's my experience. I actually went to visit my sister in Lexington, Kentucky, and it had to be 15 years ago, and I just had a great time. It's actually a beautiful, beautiful state, and I got to hang out with Richard, and we lost touch over the years. But you know what, Richard? R.I.P. and to my sister and our nieces and nephews, that was their father, and it's a big loss, but it happens. But that's certainly worthy of a shout out on.
Without question, to our sister Mary Ellen, our nieces and nephews,
And
Luke,
she knows we're there for her.
Luke, Spencer, Bridget, and Lexi, and
Sure.
so on and so forth. But listen, it came as a shock, but if we know our sister and we know her, we love her,
Yep.
she will carry the torch going forward, and the family will be just fine, and we're all here for you. We love you, and
Absolutely.
R.I.P. for Richard.
Yep. We got one more here to talk about. Not in the world of sports, was F. Lee Bailey. How
You
about
mean
that?
F.U. Bailey?
That was so easy. I didn't even want to start.
I
with
appreciate you giving me the layup on that one, but I do have to credit.
That's called an ethos pitch.
Right, but I do have to credit Howard Stern for that. That's not a Monahan original. It's just not. I pride myself on when I come up with my material. I come up with my material. But when I first heard Howard Stern refer to him as F.U. Bailey, Mr. Furman,
87.
have
years
you ever
old.
used the word? Right.
Right.
But
Listen,
we revered F. Lee Bailey
when we were 10,
Sam Shepard and this and the other.
He got him
And
off.
then he's part of this dream team, and F.U. Bailey is how I'm going to remember him. I'm
Right.
sorry.
That's funny. But he's got quite a resume. He
He
represented some Patty Hearst, the whole 9 yards.
I got it.
But that's worthy of a notable on
there's
our
no
show.
question with
Whether
it.
you like him or hate him,
No,
it's notable.
he's absolutely notable.
Right? And our last guy from the world of sports, how about this? Mike Marshall.
Oh,
1974 Cy Young
You
Award
better
winner.
believe it.
And you want to talk about a word workhorse
Yeah.
when you're a pitcher?
hell yeah.
This guy had quite a career.
With the mustache.
And he played like, those mutton chops? Are you
Totally,
kidding
man.
me? They were
It
classic.
was great.
But he had an unbelievable career. He played for like 12 teams or 11 teams.
Well, yeah, we always remember him as the
Dodgers,
Dodger,
in
right?
1974.
And you're right, Cy Young Award winner. And also, there's another connection. He was actually the baseball coach at St. Leo College
in Florida. Which is James Miller used to call the Notre Dame of the South.
That is correct. And my buddy Ricky Rex played for him. From
I didn't know
I
that.
grew up with, Ricky and I played 1 million baseball games together.
The Notre Dame. He played at the Notre Dame of the South
Yeah.
in baseball.
And
Wow.
my best friend from high school, Kevin Wilson, didn't play baseball but went to St. Leo, chapter president of his fraternity. So let's just say
Otter.
we wouldn't believe what went on at the Notre Dame of the South. But Mike Marshall, R.I.P. I mean, yeah.
Nobody pitched more innings in a single
Rubber
season
arm.
than him.
Rubber arm.
Yeah, he was. 78 years old.
All right.
But we remember that year with
Oh.
those mutton chops in 74. He was awesome.
You better believe it.
He was awesome. What a career. Look up his stats.
Dodgers, A's, World Series.
Oh, my
was
God.
It was great.
But every team he went to, he had those mutton chops.
Oh,
It
there's
was
no question.
Funny to see. But R.I.P. Mike Marshall.
Good call.
But listen, thanks for joining us, everybody. And by the way, please send us some emails. We had a pretty busy week in our email box this week. sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com. And I wanted to give a shout out. I met a guy, I got my hair cut today, and I met a gentleman named John from Oakland, New Jersey,
Hello, John.
who's one of our new fans. He's going to listen to the show.
That'd
and
be great.
We thank him for joining us as well. But we will certainly, most decidedly, be here next week for another version of Sports with Mono and Mono.
You bet. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you for listening, as always.
And enjoy the Belmont Stakes.
The Belmont Stakes.
I think post time is about 6:45.
Well, I got 11:30 in the a.m. right now, Jim. I think we got time.
Catch up to you guys next week. Thanks for joining us.
All right, bye.
Bye.